Welcome to another edition of Pro Wrestling for Life, everyone. I'm your host, two-time WWE Hall of Famer, X-Pac. Yay. Yeah. Joining us right now is my co-host, Nick Hausman.
Yeah, Nick Hausman. Yay.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay. Hey, Sean. I'm very excited, man. We have a slam banger of a show lined up for today. I cannot wait to release this thing onto the world, Sean.
Yes. Why don't you tell everyone what you have in store for them today?
Oh, absolutely. I think I'll do just that. We have a little guy here on the show today. He's got a huge podcast of his own called My World. Longtime friend of yours, Double J, Jeff Jarrett, is in the house today. And a great conversation between you two. I did not know you two were as close as you are and have so many stories. So hopefully this is the start of a burgeoning relationship between the two podcasts, because I already want to hear more from you and Jeff, and I already know what you guys are going to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good one. We got Jeff Jarrett. And then after Jeff Jarrett, after we talk to news and everything, you're going to hear from another little guy, friend of the show, Dave Meltzer, in the house. He took some time to chat with you about your first tour of Japan, and it really kind of just becomes more of a conversation about y'all's time in Japan in general, I think it's safe to say, right?
Yeah. Like, I'm not huge, long-time buddies with Dave where we talked all the time on the phone. I wasn't like a observer source or anything like that, but like I used to read it all the time, and we spent time together in Japan during that tour that y'all are gonna hear us talk about. Yeah. And so it was a fun conversation with Dave.
Yeah, and if you're going to talk to Dave Meltzer about anything, you bring up Japan. He's very passionate about Japanese wrestling. And then, of course, at the end of the show, we'll have a new game. We're going to welcome another fan on. We also have some housekeeping here to take care of. Patreon. We have not been engaging the Patreon enough. So we are going to be making some new additions to Patreon starting immediately. So if you sign up, we're keeping it at the one level right now, the $5, the kid level. What you're going to get is you're going to get this show not only ad-free, but you're also going to get it early. That's right. Starting on Wednesdays, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you want to get the show earlier than everybody else who gets it on Thursday. Go sign up. You get the show early. Also, each week, we're going to start doing a watch along. So this week, we already picked the match. Everybody's talking about 28th anniversary of 1-2-3 Kid pinning Razor Ramon. So we're going to watch that. Sean and I are going to watch that. We're going to upload the watch along of me and Sean watching that. Also at the $5 kid level. You go find out. You go find all of that. That's some pretty big additions. I'm excited about this, Sean.
Yes, me too, Nick.
Yes. And that's all I got. That's all I think at the top of the show. Sean, I just brought up the 28th anniversary of you pinning Scott on Raw. Man, you put out a little message about that on social media yesterday, and a whole bunch of people reached out talking about how much that moment really meant to them. Ivar, Bollywood Boys, and Jack Evans also had some nice things to say. Lance Storm, another name. What's it mean to you to see all these people reach out and talk about 28 years ago, what that moment meant to so many of these guys in their careers?
Well, I mean, it's not like I haven't heard people, fans and just people say how much that meant to them and how it inspired them, things like that. And it's just when you see it from your peers and your colleagues, and the next generation coming up, it's just man, it feels really good.
Yeah,
obviously it goes without saying, it feels so good, man. And I'm just looking back on everything. I've had an amazing life.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I lived my dream, man. And that was the most important moment of my career, bar none. And there were a lot of big moments, Nick, a lot of really big moments and things, matches, like important stuff, like, my match with Brett, the return to join with DX after WrestleMania 14, the invasion.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the invasion of WCW, all of that, and it's none of it would have happened without that first big moment, at the Manhattan Center that night.
When you were in that moment, and you knew you were going to beat Razor. Did you think of it as like, this is a big deal, this feels historic, or did the weight kind of grow over time and kind of set in later?
No, because I knew like probably a month beforehand. If I had to guess, it was because I Vince and Pat called me and laid the whole thing out, like just like in detail, and it's exactly how it ended up going. Like they had this thing all mapped out, and oh crap, what was I saying?
We were
oh man, I had
you were very compelling. No, I was asking you if you felt that weight in that moment, or if it's something that grew over time. And you were talking about how you knew.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, y'all get to see my brain farts live, and sure. We're not going to edit these out.
No, we have an editor, but he's not going to do it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, when they laid this out to me on the phone, and we're like, "What do you think of it?" I couldn't believe it, like this, because just being brought in and like just given an opportunity to get over. Like here's some vignettes, and here's a month worth of squash matches. Now go out there and get over. But I mean, I couldn't have. It's the best way I can imagine being brought in, being introduced to people. It was like, man, it was great. And I knew it was going to be big too. Like I knew this is going to be big. It's going to work.
Was there any other kind of precedent or match in your mind where you had seen another kind of underdog guy beat a big star and kind of move on? Was there anything else in the back of your mind you were kind of playing that off of, or was this kind of a whole new concept to you that something like this was happening?
I mean, things have happened before, sure. like the Malkies finally getting a win. I don't know if you remember the Malkies, Malky Mania from WCW. And then like at different times, like for instance, I was talking with Chavito when he was on the show, about Flair coming to Florida, and like somebody was, like they needed a replacement. They needed someone for Flair to work with real quick for some reason. I can't remember what, but I think Dusty got hurt or something. I don't know. So they had Flair went out and put Scott McGee over on TV. Scott McGee hit him with the German suplex. 1, 2, 3. Place went nuts. Flair went and did matches around Florida. That was Flair's like title match run in Florida.
Yeah.
And so he did it with Scott McGee, and it worked. Like I showed up, and I kind of had a feeling by that time that, okay, wrestling might not be completely on the up and up. It might be a little shady.
Sure.
But even then, regardless, I was so excited about this Scott McGee thing.
Huh.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to go off into the Scott McGee weeds.
No,
but
I asked you for precedent. You gave me precedent. You were like,
yeah, but nothing like this.
Nothing
like this, Nick.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something much, much bigger, because even the stuff you're referencing was kind of more, in a bottle, right? It didn't lead to 20 years of storytelling and what you were able to do,
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. And you before we got in the air, I was going over the people that said nice things. Jack Evans. Yeah. He had the following to say on Twitter. He said, strangely enough, this was also the most important moment in my career. Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with Jack and why and what you think he meant by that.
Well, I don't know, because he never mentioned it to me the whole time we lived together down in Mexico.
Okay.
So
you guys lived together down in Mexico. I don't think a lot of people know that you and Jumpin' Jack Evans, lived together down in Mexico. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we had a house. AAA got this house for a bunch of us. Like I think it was the American guys. And so it was this really nice house and a pretty good neighborhood. And it was Moody Jack Melendez, who used to work. He used to book Puerto Rico, and he worked for TNA, and he was at the time he was like helping write TVs and editing the show, like down for AAA. He was a real high up creatively, and so it was Moody, Conan, myself, and Jack Evans.
Oh my God.
In a house. And then Teddy Hart eventually came, and he was staying in the maid quarters upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah. So, oh man. Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with Jack. We used to work, like Rocky Romero and Alex Kozlov and we were doing this like DX knockoff called Degeneration Mex.
Okay.
And it was over.
Okay.
It was over down there. And it was great having those two because like I was the wise one, like the wise veteran, and those guys were studs. Like they were out there just crushing it, and I would just come in and do my couple of things. But yeah, we would work with Teddy Hart and Jack Evans, and do tag matches with them sometimes. And wow. I don't know. I just had so Jack and I have history. We were roommates.
Degeneration Mex, man.
Mex, yeah.
I know a lot of.
It worked though. It worked.
I bet it worked. I bet there was no legal issues because you're
no. Yeah. And we were on TV, like we had that Galavision or whatever 3-hour slot every Sunday, and oh yeah, it was the DX music, and they didn't even care, bro. They weren't worried about. They were like, "Go ahead and sue us."
Did you get
Good luck with that?
Did you get the Run DMC one? Did you get the one you liked?
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. Sometimes we use. It depends. You never knew what you were going to get.
Okay. Oh wow.
Anyways, yeah.
Degeneration.
So Jack, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I met Jack Evans. We were doing the WSX pilot.
Sure.
And anyways, he had a bunch of bags, and I didn't have anything in my hand, so I grabbed one of his bags and goes, "Oh, X-Pac's carrying my bags." Like, I was just like, "Yeah, what's a big deal, bro? It's not the first time I've carried someone's bags or someone carried my like." Anyways, I remember that stuck out in my mind. I'm a Jack Evans fan. I love Jack.
It's great too. Like him and Helico getting a run over in AEW right now. They're one of my favorite tag teams that they've got over there at the moment. They don't have. I think it's either Jack or Helico. One of them I think might be injured at the moment, but those guys are always very entertaining, man. I'm so happy to see them on my TV screen each week.
Oh yeah, and you know what, Nick, that WSX bringing that up made me think of New Jack. Yeah,
talk to me. So. A lot of people I don't think would necessarily draw a connection between the two of you, but there was one. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit, man. We just always, whenever we saw each other, man, we got along great. What happened one time was like Jack, I don't know if he missed his flight or his flight got delayed or whatever. Anyways, he was at Newark Airport and I was at a different terminal, and like I knew he was stranded over there. I didn't really know him. Yeah. And so like I went over to his terminal and brought some food, and we sat and bullshitted, and it just Jack, he's the type of dude that appreciates shit like that. It just, man, that WSX pilot taping, oh, he was priceless, man. He was just like in full New Jack effect. He had he brought this drug dealer to the tapings, and it's hot as fuck out, Nick. The sun's blaring down, and he's got this guy, and he made him wear this purple suit, like it was just a suit. Like, and the guy, he didn't have a shirt on, just the jacket and the pants, and he's just sweating bullets, standing out all day long, and you just had to be there, man. And just Jack's antics, like during the Battle Royal, and he was just a different kind of guy, man. And like he would tell these stories, and look, I'm not trying to tell anyone that they shouldn't feel a certain way about New Jack for whatever reason. They might feel a certain way about him. Sure. But I'm just telling you how I feel about him, or felt like I really liked the guy, in spite of, certain things. If you wanted, if I'm not a good person for that, then so be it. Sure. He would talk like, man, when he would talk about these things, like these crazy off the wall things, he like, and I feel bad for Vic Grimes, but man, him telling the story of
man, I'm sorry, I'm going to sound really bad. Him telling the story of tasing Nick Grimes and throwing him off the scaffold 25 feet and almost killing him. I couldn't help, man. The way he told it, I was belly laughing. And this poor guy, like, he's trying to kill this guy. And like, it's just the story is so entertaining. Like, we're just dying laughing. Oh, I know that just didn't paint me in a very good light. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Joining us right now, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Good friend of mine. He's a Hall of Famer. His name is Double J, Jeff Jarrett. JEFFJARRETT. Diddy, what's up, man?
Oh, I was just sitting there before we got going. Diddy. Nick's sort of just like, what the hell is he? What did he just call him? What? Nick?
Littlein. He's Diddy, and I'm Littlein.
Okay. I was absolutely gonna ask. I was waiting to ask on the show. So, like, is it because you used to sing ditties? Why do you get to be called Diddy? Where's the name from here?
Oh boy, Sean, you may tell him.
Yeah.
So Nick, so there was and it was actually off and on, but there was a pretty extended time where on the road it was Earl Hebner, me, Kiddo, Henry Godwin, Tex. What was Midian? What was his Godwin brother?
Phineas.
Yes, I can hear Road Dogg calling him. But anyway, and then Road Dogg was with us. So we all traveled, and believe it or not, I guess I was the one that at least with that group tried to figure out directions. And Brian and Kid would say, "Oh, just ask Diddy." And I'm like, "What did they say?" And then it just sort of Earl, God bless him, he definitely wasn't the one to ask directions. So it was back in the day, obviously prior iPhone, Maps, Google Quest, all that kind of stuff. It's I can remember going up around Boston and driving in the roundabouts and on the boot. That Chinese food place up there by in Revere. Anyway,
Kowloon's,
yes. But anyway, traveling, it was a minivan with that crew. And somehow, some way, that name between me and Kiddo stuck all these years. Diddy.
Yeah, I'm Little. Hey, Jeff. Hey, man. Man, we have a long history, man, and man, I've had a lot of fun over the years with you, and just a lot of experiences. And Nick, he was just telling me, oh my God, he started doing research and looking at all the stuff we've done. Man, we've had a lot of human contact with each other, a lot of physical contact over the years, man.
That's to put it easy. I'll say a lot of human contact.
Yeah,
we have. Launching the podcast, people have sort of come up when I've tried to get out and spread the word, but people have asked me just different things, and it's like they'll get into Kid and then their hair match, but then they go, "Oh wait, you had this match with him." And then WCW, and then TNA. There's just been our paths have crossed literally since we'll call it the 1, 2, 3 Kid early WJ days, and a little bit before that, because we left Texas and Global. It's called not Global Force. It's Global. What was
GWF, Global Wrestling Federation?
Yeah, Jerry Lynn had come, y'all took off, and I can remember thinking vividly, damn, why weren't they around when we were down there? Because we had, Cactus Jack and Gary Young and Eric Embry. We had a crew, but we also had some of the quote unquote established guys, Killer Tim Brooks. And we had a little bit, we were in the changing of that territory, was in the changing of the guard, but we left and Global went in there and you and JL. And I can remember, because I was, we were all about the same age. I'm like, damn, why weren't they there when I was there? Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, you're a few years older than me, actually.
I am. I know. Shut up.
Yeah, but the thing is, man, like Jeff was, Nick was mentioned before we started recording, man. Like, you look way better than I do.
No, well, I didn't say.
I'm not trying to blow smoke, man, but
I did not say that Jeff looked better than you. I said Jeff looks like he's aging backwards. I don't want people to think I was throwing shade at you, Sean. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But Jeff, hey, man, of all the people I've ever been in the ring with, man, I have like you're in the top 5, maybe even top 3 guys that I had the best chemistry with.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I mean, from not just the 1, 2, 3 kid days, but when I broke my neck and I came back, I had the surgery and I came back to work for Vince, you were the guy that I had my first matches with, like on the live events.
Yeah.
And oh my God, what a relief, man, to know I was out there with you every night. And it's just, man, it was just the chemistry, Jeff. I think about it, man. It's just like, oh, it's stuff to die for, man.
Well, and some guys over the years have asked me about specifically the Attitude Era and like,
Yeah.
hey, what was it like? And I'm like, it goes without saying, Stone Cold was just super red hot. But when and I'm not a good impressionist, but when the DX music hit and you or Road Dogg and Billy, whatever, when you walk through the curtain, that's like a crazy kind of pop, and then get up. But when me and you went, and we would always, I can remember Lanza going, all right, guys, whatever it is. So we would have 10 to 12 minutes or maybe a little more. It just depended. But our pace, and we had it down, and I hate to say the proverbial night off because we weren't.
Yeah, but we worked hard on our nights off.
Very hard. There wasn't that risk factor of,
right.
Boy, I'm going to get a concussion or I'm going to take a bad shot or any of that. Even your jump spin around kick, I could in those days hit the flat back before it got there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Jeff perfected the art of already heading towards the mat.
Well, that's where you want to be, because if you're not moving, then you're just gonna get blasted.
Oh yeah, don't blame him at all, man.
I tell guys like that. I said working with Kid night after night on those runs, and it's like, God Almighty, we're getting paid to do this. That was a lot of fun. So many different ways.
It was, Jeff, and it's just like the timing. And I don't mean to like keep going on this, but man, I just there's very few guys I ever had that kind of chemistry with, man. Like I could just go out there and it's just, I think a lot of it has to do with you came from Memphis, man, and y'all are used to being able to go out there and walk and talk, and call everything out there. And man, and that's what we did. Like we had our spots, like the sleeper spot. We did the sleeper spot a lot, right?
I also did that. I used to think my whole set of heat, Nick, to really dive into granular is whatever the cutoff spot was, I'd squish him in the ropes. But literally, I would give Kid 3 hard turnbuckles, not back to back, one really hard one, and let him sell and let me strut. A couple of more punches and kicks, and another one. And then by the time the third one, the crowd, they're actually mad that he's selling it so good and I'm walking and talking, but the people start rumbling, going, okay, here they come. That was a lot of fun, man. It
always worked. It always worked, man. It always worked every single time.
Very simplistic. Yeah. A lot of fun.
And I know talking to Sean, because Sean very proud of the creative input that he had on his matches and stuff, and we've talked a lot about that. But you're also like a super creative guy, Jeff. I would just love to see you guys in the back coming up with matches. I feel like that's got to be a really collaborative, fun environment for you guys to be in.
During that era specifically, all you had to do is, if you worked around his signature spots, it was, the Bronco in the corner, man, you're taking me back down memory lane. The Bronco in the corner, it'd be crazy. The spin kick over in the turnbuckle, just duck this, spin into kick. I could lay out the match. If you gave me about 10 minutes, I could call 80% of the match.
A lot of times we would use to put the foot up on the Bronco Buster for the heat spot.
Dude, good free call. Yeah. Exactly right. But no, we had a lot of that. And then come a TV or a pay-per-view or whatever, we always could put in the little bits and pieces. And a lot of fun, man. Lot of fun. And I did a podcast. Today is Tuesday, so that was on Friday when I did one, and I talked about we just talked about the different timing of learning how to downshift no matter what. Just take a heartbeat and let the people soak it in. And Kiddo was great at that, like really good at that.
Wow,
Yeah.
thanks.
One of the first matches that I think a lot of fans would probably remember between the two of you was the '94 King of the Ring. It was a big pay-per-view that was the King of the Ring that Owen would go on to become King Owen. And I thought it was really interesting because I was reading and kind of watching it back a little bit. Shawn wins. Like in my head when I saw that, I was like, I thought you were going to be going over, but I was kind of surprised to kind of go back and watch that. And you did the honors there for Shawn that night.
Yeah. We're going to get around to talking about my world, but in that, no. And the reason I say that is that 94 era, because we've talked about the early Double J, but in 94, I wrestled on live events. I was married to a bunch of different random, but I wrestled Doink more than everything. But that is a different era because Vince came to me like at an early Springfield, Mass TV. So I do remember.
Oh, you remember the town, huh?
Because we did Poughkeepsie. But anyway, he basically said, "Hey, and look, I'm coming from Memphis on a weekly territory. We're going to use the better part of this year, and we're talking. This is like January, February. We're going to use the better part of this year to get your character over. Go out and have fun and listen to your agents." And I can remember going, the better part of this year. But sure enough, all of 94, I put everybody over around the horn. And to get on the King of the Ring, it was Vince's vision of the building blocks. And that's how he did it. I'm going to give this guy a year to get over, or, give or take, whatever. That was the mindset. And then sure enough, come 95, Scott, Road Dogg, IC title, we're off to the races. But I remember the King of the Ring.
Yeah, because Shawn obviously was like involved in all of that right there, even the stuff with Scott and leading into Survivor Series just a couple months later, where you guys were in a big match together.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Hey Jeff, you remember that match we had? It was like in Iowa or something. It was a TV match, and it was Scott and I versus you and Road Dogg, and like we did that spot with the where Scott gives me the sack of shit on you, but then I was out, remember? Yeah. And they had to cart me out of the ring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Because we did Mania. Oh boy, Nick, you're supposed to do this research. But anyway,
go for it. You can walk us through this, Jeff. Obviously, strut your stuff here. That's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
We did Mania, and then we did the In Your House where it was a handicap match. But in that transition, we did TVs, I think, building up to that. And that was the lead up to In Your House 1. I think.
Well, we were in Europe right before that, and I took a bad fall outside the ring, and I just kept on going. But we got to TV, and we had this TV match, and we did that spot, and some people might know I had a substance abuse problem at the time. So it's like honestly, some people thought that I OD'd in the ring.
Yeah.
You don't remember that, Jeff?
I do. No,
they had to cart me out of there and took me to the hospital, and they were ready to, like, Briscoe was with me. And he told me later, he goes, like, if your neck wasn't broken, they were going to have me fire you.
Yeah. I remember that whole, yeah. Look, we've all had our dark days, but yes, now you're, oh boy. I do remember not that specific incidents of you and Briscoe talking about, but that quasi couple of month deal. Candidly, we were all worried about you. And look, later in my life, people worried about me. I'm not throwing shade, but yes, there was that window of Kevin and Scott and me. Just we're worried about it. Yeah, I remember.
Hey Jeff, I don't want to get like all up into the weeds on all that, but the thing about you, Jeff, is when it came to partying and all that, and obviously, man, you've been real open about everything lately, but
yeah.
You always held it together, man. We were always falling off and like missing shows or doing this and that. And Jeff, you always handled it until you couldn't, right? Like,
dude, you literally, if we're talking open,
I was so impressed by you, man.
You're not supposed to be. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but it's like, wow, you were.
Why can't I be like Jeff? Why can't I party and keep it all under control?
What a functional alcoholic! Oh my God, badge of honor. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean that, and I can tell you, I've had and I'll leave the names out because I don't want to break anonymity that they may or may not want me sharing with it. But Shawn, some of our closest friends, called me when I got out of treatment, and they're like, dude, I didn't really believe that. I tried to piece it together, and then they went on to say it in your colorful language. And what about that? But to anybody that may be listening out there, that's what happens.
Yeah.
It works till it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, I always give the proverbial, try to get back in a canoe by yourself. Once you fall out of that canoe, it's game, set, match. And you are getting back into the canoe by yourself. So by the grace of God, we're both here, brother.
Yeah, Jeff. And the thing is, man, when I heard you had taken that step and you got, see, like, I just, in my heart, I felt like you were going to get that. You were like, since you decided to go do that, like, I didn't see you having, like, and I'm not trying to jinx you or whatever. Like, I didn't see you as the like have half a dozen relapses within the first 6 months. You know what I mean? I figured, man, you got it. Like, you're working the program and all that. And it's obvious, man.
Nick, this is real talk. I mean, and I've seen Sean a couple of times over the last 3 years, but I appreciate you saying this, but as we both know, it's one day at a time. But I will say this, what worked in my work life or home life that, you know, even in my darkest days, you know, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. and going to the gym. In my darkest of dark. So I, you know, whether it's my dad or my grandmother or genetics or my mindset, or I'm just crane wacky, I've always sort of had that work ethic. If I'm going to do something, I am not afraid of work. I'm going to roll up my sleeve and I'm going to do this. And once I came to the realization of my reality, and it's a disease. Look, cancer, such folks, heart disease, you name it, diabetes, all different kinds of diseases. The disease of addiction is just that. It's a chronic progressive disease. Left untreated, you will die, or you will go to jail, or you will go to institution. There's no middle ground.
Yeah. Jeff, did you feel like that early on? Like, did you look at it and look at it as a disease before you decided to take the steps you took?
I could tell, you know, this is on the one hand, life, a little bit embarrassing. I had the picture of the disease, the addiction, if you lived under a bridge and came out twice a day to get your fix. I had no concept, like zero, like not a little bit, like zero. I had no, I didn't even know that in the late 50s that the American Medical Association literally classifies it as a chronic progressive disease. Yeah. Had no idea. When I found that out, it was, and I, you know, I don't mind sharing it. It was a light bulb going off, and I go, oh, it's almost like going to a doctor and you get a diagnosis and you go, oh, that's why. Oh, okay. Oh, and it's a lot more than just the symptom over here. It's truly, I believe that you know, and they say 1 in 9 people have the genetic predisposition.
Yeah.
And so when you get into the numbers, that's when the light bulb started going on.
Yeah. I mean, you have like, so you have so, like, you know, we all know so many people, you know, and loved ones and good friends, but did you like think that everyone was just kind of weak? Like, you know, that couldn't keep a handle on it?
I never looked at it as weak. It is, whoo, they tied one on. I mean, that's maybe a simpleton I am in a lot of ways. I just like, whoo, man, they didn't slow down last night, but not because they couldn't slow down. They chose not to. That's how I always looked at all of my faults, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. I screwed up last night. I didn't slow down. You know, I took it upon myself. Not that I couldn't slow down. Once you sort of understand, like, okay, it's a disease that affects the brain that controls your behavior. Bingo, that made sense.
Yeah. Jeff, hey, man, were you going to say something, Nick?
I was just going to say, it's so great to, and I know this isn't really what we intended this conversation to be about, but it's fine. It's totally cool. I just think it's so great because you look at the culture of pro wrestling right now, and it's very different. And it's because I feel like of guys like you both that have come out and been so open, you've made it easier for this new generation to make better choices. And so I think this, while I didn't anticipate this conversation, I think it's just a really powerful, awesome conversation. It sends a really good message to the current generation out there about getting help and recognizing things like this. So anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't want to get all off into that, but go ahead, Jeff.
I'll just say this, you know, and a kid will definitely be able to relate to this. Look, I've got 3 names for him: Lundland, Kid, Sean. Anyway, Sean. But no, I think he'll be able to relate to this. But you know, we talk about, especially when we were early '90s, you hear about mid-90s guys paving the way, quote unquote, paving the way. I look at it today at my stage of my career. You know, obviously my in-ring career. I'm not talking about, but just my progression in the business. That as far as paving the way, this is, and I think I can speak candidly for Road Dogg, for Kiddo, for others. This is a part of paving the way. To me, without question, that it's maybe more important. I don't want to say that, but you know, paving the way of, look, and you know, a lot of guys get in this business and take 50 crazy bumps. And if they want to do that, great. Me and Kid run up down the road, you know, 30, 40, 50 nights, whatever. And I'm not saying back to back. I'm just saying did a lot of live events, and we knew how to have an A match, a B match, and a C match. That was smart. So this business is about longevity, and what we're talking about that you just alluded to is without question about longevity.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hey, man. You know, when you guys, like, I saw you recently did kind of like a watch along or something with Sean about the In Your House.
Yeah.
And like, I was just thinking about that day and how you got, like, you went out there, you did business, everything. And I worked with Brian. I had a really good match with Brian actually earlier that night. And dude, you guys left. I was so sad, Jeff. I don't know if you remember this. I ran out of the building and chased y'all down as you were driving off because I just wanted to say goodbye. I was so sad that you guys were leaving.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
Well, obviously, it's my backyard, so I remember the building. I remember that. And you know, when you get into the weeds of that story, there was that was right before, quote unquote, like, I'll call it the click days. You know what we say, but that sort of group was me, you, Road Dogg, Sean, Kevin, Scott. So we all did it in one car every night. But you know, it was sort of that quasi group that was running up down the roads. And if me and Sean worked together, Scott, you know, we were all either in the ring together, some way, somehow. But I vividly remember you coming to tell, because you were like, dude, and you're like,
oh, I was heartbroken. Dude, it was the same as when, you know, in the middle of the Attitude Era, when they let your contract expire and you left that time. Oh man, I cried. Jeff, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was so sad that you were leaving. And I remember Brian was too.
Yeah.
You know, like, we were pissed about that, man.
Yeah. Brian, and that was, we've reminisced about that a couple of different times. That was such a unique day. But what I really think about is pulling up to the car, pulling up to Gunda Arena. I left my bag in the car, and Brian was like, dude, and obviously this is BS before sobriety, but he was like, man, I love you, dude, but I respect you got to do what you got to do. And I said, man, do you really think, and I just shared this on the My World podcast. I told Conrad, I said, at the end of the day, if you really hear the story from start to finish, WCW was not a new place for me to go. I was going there. I left there on a 1-year deal for a reason. And I have said it 1,000 times since, and I'll continue. The industry that we're in is made to have the buck stops with one person. It doesn't work by committee. It doesn't work by a group. Now, look, you can have, I'm not disparaging writing committees or booking committees or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, you need to have the ability to go find one answer. I did not want to leave WWF.
Yeah, I know.
And it was such a twisted story over the last 20 years. Oh, he held Vince up. No, I didn't. I got my money and left because I knew the game as hopefully as a lot of folks did. I just wanted my money and get out. But I didn't want to leave. And quote unquote my boys, but my family. And I'm talking to one right now. That group that ran up down the road and man, the times that we shared together, and remember the Woodstock. That was during the time. But I mean, we had a lot of great times, and you know, Brian, you, just the whole group that we were running up and down the roads. I didn't want to leave, but business was business, and we all sort of knew that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were so tight with the Click. Why does Jeff Jarrett's name never come up when you guys talk about the Click? Come on.
I mean, truly. So 95, the night in Nashville, I left. So there was, I'll call it the pre-Click days, maybe. You know, it was that, and then I left, and then it was like I came back just for a short hiccup and moved on. It was, so I was pre-Click.
The Click wasn't together in WWE during the Attitude Era. Yeah. You know, we were already split up by then. So like, you know, I wasn't hanging like exclusively with the Click. You know, it was
it was pre-dates.
Yeah. Or post, like, or, you know, it was pre or
afterwards too. Yeah. I thought you were saying, Nick, I'm not sure exactly the timeline, but it was pre and post.
Okay. Hey, Jeff. Yeah. Jeff, what are your memories of the angle and the match going into SummerSlam where you and I worked for with the hair match? Because well, go ahead.
Well, I remember. I mean, it's not in the middle of there, but Finkel. I remember Finkel being a part of it. That I got to clip his hair. But the thing that probably I remember the most was, you know, we went, and you probably don't remember this, but I had done the Double J character in the Attitude Era that didn't work. I'd done the Tennessee Lee thing that didn't work. I'd done the NWA thing that didn't work. Then the Southern Justice thing, you know, that was, you know, but I knew there was sort of talk of that, but I wanted my haircut bad. I've got to have a makeover. And, you know, and coming from Memphis, you know, we always give guys new makeovers and all that. But I knew the Double J character of, howdy, folks, Double J here. That was game, set, match. It was over with. So I wanted the new attitude. Don't piss me off. And I remember pitching that to Ferrara and Russo, and they were like, let's see what the old man says. Let's see what the old man, you know, it is one of those things. I remember that lead up to the hair.
Well, there was at one point, when we were building up to that, I remember they came to me and just go, oh yeah, at this point, Jeff comes out and he cuts your hair. Like a little cut my hair. But I was like, whoa, what are you talking about? You know, like I was going to go in that fight. Like, you don't just tell me you're cutting my hair and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, it was only a little piece, Jeff, you remember, but it was just like, oh, no way, boy, I got my hair cut and I liked it.
Yeah. You know, people, interesting, and I don't know if you have the same mindset. That was really the very infancy of the writers.
Yes.
The writing team, and I'm not saying Vince or Ed, you know, I understand that, but those early days when a writer would come, hey, we're going to clip a little bit of your hair and this and that, and as a talent, which I've been there, still can go there if needed, like,
right?
What the F are you? Who are you talking to? We're going to cut. And I'm sure X-Pac, you know, kiddos. Wait, who are you talking? Who's going to cut my hair? I don't give a shit what Jeff says. I don't give a. He ain't cutting my hair. Well, 2 hours later, after the big man, the chairman says, John, can you come in here a minute? Yes, sir. We're going to do this storyline and da-da-da-da-da. Yes, sir. See, boss. Hope you like it.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it. I'm saying I'm in the same position.
So, Jeff, in my opinion, we had that match at SummerSlam, the hair match, and if there was any match that was as good or better than ours, maybe it was Rock and Hunter's ladder match. But I want to say that like we were at least right there with those guys as far as stealing the show. And do you remember your payoff for that?
Oh gosh, I don't.
I wasn't happy about it, and
okay.
And I think I as a matter of fact, I think I called you just to make sure like we got the same, and we did.
That's good stuff.
And I called Vince, and I was like, Vince, I said, hey man, when did you start paying by the pound? and Vince is like, and because I was talking about and he was like, well, if that's how this conversation is going to go, then this conversation's over. And he was like, actually, like I backed out a little bit, and so he was like, you need to talk to Jim about this. So I used the same line on Jim, on JR.
We got my world about payoffs.
Did you ever complain about payoffs?
So I'm going to go back to episode 1.
Because I got $5,000 extra for that. Every time I complained, Jeff, they would send me an extra $5,000 to shut me up.
All right.
So, well, it worked. You're exactly right. I can remember having a conversation with Dustin Rhodes, and it wasn't a compare notes. It was, I had a couple of loops with him, and I'm thinking to myself, oh boy. I'm not anyway. So I did a little chirping, but knew that it's no secret. We went into in depth on it. I wasn't on the greatest of footing, as obvious as it may be. I left in 3 or 4 or 5 months, but I saw it was a slippery slope. But that, knowing that I was getting shortchanged on multiple house show runs and a couple of pay-per-views, that's what was sort of the impetus, me getting the last month. If I didn't have leverage that night, I was never going to have leverage. So that's why I wanted to clean up everything, because I knew I had been shortchanged multiple. That's just the nature of the beast. And I'm not pointing fingers at Jim Ross. I'm not pointing fingers at Vince McMahon. They run a business. Squeaky wheel gets the oil a lot of times. That's just the beast.
Yeah, but like for that, when I make a call like that, it's not because I think I got shorted by $5,000. Like honestly, it was half of what I thought it should have been. Like I'll just be honest, it was $25,000, and I thought it should have been 50 for that match. Yeah. In that pay-per-view, that SummerSlam pay-per-view.
This is red hot.
Yeah. So it'd be my middle daughter. One time we were talking about this. In a hair versus hair match in Madison Square Garden on the biggest event of the summer and the biggest, that ranks up there, high profile deal. So I look back on look, you brought up the pay, but I look back over those monumental. It's a huge milestone for my personal career, big time.
All right, well, we'll have to wrap it there for the moment, because Jeff has to go, I know right now, and we have so many other things. So hopefully down the road, you can come back. We'll send Sean over to my world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. But take us home here, Jeff. Where can people go find my world? What do you want to tell people about this project?
Make it simple. Anywhere you can find podcasts. The easiest way is we launched a website, which is pretty cool. I'm not a web guy, but I got a guy. But anyway, we got a team, and it's realjeffjarrett.com. Go to that website, or any of my socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, is at Real Jeff Jarrett. So it's still real simple, at Real Jeff Jarrett for everything. Cool.
Jeff, hey man, obviously there's a million more things that we could talk about, the TNA, all that stuff. But like, we were never going to be able to touch on everything.
We have time. You both have podcasts. We have so much time to fill, guys. Do not feel like you have to cram it all in here. It's not worth it.
Exactly. But hey man, I just think the world of you, Jeff, and I'm so happy, that for where you are in life right now, man. And it's really cool to see you doing the podcast with Conrad. I'm a big Conrad fan. And it's a perfect match, man.
Yeah. And, he lines up the topics, and I've got 35 years to discuss, but kiddo, I love you, brother. I appreciate you having me on today. I really do.
I love you too, man. And I hope I see you. I hope I see you soon.
All right, brother. Take it easy. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Jeff.
No problem, Jeff. Take care.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's time for the retrospective segment. And this week, I'm really, really happy to have Dave Meltzer join us. What's up, Dave?
Not too much. How have you been?
I'm great, man. Life is really good these days. I mean, obviously, it wasn't always that way for me. So.
Yeah. A lot of ups and downs. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, hey, Dave, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I guess, we'll talk about, I guess it's the first time you went to Japan. And the thing is that I don't remember if I was on the first tour or the second tour that you went. I remember going to Japan with you in 92, though, with the the Lucha Libre group.
Yeah, it was a few. I'd had a few. That was probably my 5th or 6th.
Oh, really?
Trip over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So how that got started, Dave, was I'd been doing GWF, and they had they signed people to contracts, even though so my contract with GWF was just a $300 a week base pay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a lot of money, obviously, but at the time, that was helping pay the bills. And even if they weren't bringing me down. So anyways, they canceled, they quit paying me.
Oh, geez.
And so I needed to make some money real quick. And do you know Bruce Kreitzman? He was a referee and a photographer and stuff.
Sure.
He's Gary Jester's cousin.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
He had Wally Yamaguchi come to town, and Wally brought me to Japan just like on short notice. Like he was like, "Hey, do you have your passport?" Like I wasn't booked on it. It was a big surprise, me showing up. Oh wait. Oh shit. No, I didn't get the I'm confused a little bit. I'm not sure if they quit paying me yet or not, because I was the GWF champion my first time over there.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just showed up, and I was surprised. It was Universal Pro Wrestling, but originally when they first started, they were just called UWF.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember Shinma? Of course you do, right?
The older Shinma and the younger Shinma. Right, of course, yeah.
So I think it was the father, like he was behind it, but it was basically for his son. His son's name was Hisatsune Shinma, and he was like a huge mark for Lucha. Yeah, huge mark for it, right? So Dave, I got to be on these shows. Well, first of all, my first match was at Corkin Hall, and it was with Dick Togo, and I just did topes, plancha, made sure I got a German suplex in there, a couple different varieties of spin kicks, and just like all the things I thought that I needed to do to get over in Japan. And it kind of worked. It worked. I did some crazy shit, and so they kept bringing me back. But all those guys, man, those were the top guys from Mexico.
Right.
All those guys.
Right. Like you worked with like Hamada and Perro Aguayo and Acai and because they brought in I'm trying to remember who else, but wasn't like Dos Caras and Silver King and all those guys over at some point?
Yes. Yeah. It was so it was like me, Jerry Lynn, and Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Silver King Tejano and Dos Caras. Right. So one of my first matches over there.
Yeah.
So I was and Io Del Santo. Blue Demon Jr., Kendo. Remember Kendo
with all the nip ups, of course.
Yeah, Chombo, his name was. Yeah. But and also my first show there was Acai's last show with Universal before he went to war.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Kabuki was there, with the suit on. And,
well, I remember going there, and it was when all those guys who ended up forming Michinoku Pro were all starting out. Like Sasuke was Masa Michinoku.
Right. Delphin. Super Delphin.
He was called
Monkey Magic Wakita.
Right, Monkey Magic Wakita. And those guys, like, they were all new and they were all crazy, and they pretty much I think that they kind of changed a lot as far as, if you look back historically, they opened the door for, really what you would call Dragon Gate now. And a lot of the promotions like that all kind of stemmed from the popularity of the Universal group, bringing in the Lucha Libre guys, and then the young Japanese guys who were like opening match guys then, but then they just started copying the Mexicans and threw in some Japanese stuff, and they created like that whole new style that's still exists and is popular today.
Oh yeah. And not to jump around a little bit, but that's kind of how my brain works. You mentioned the Michinoku stuff. Like later on, like the last tour I was over there was when they decided to start Michinoku, Dave. It's like he wasn't paying everybody, and like things that was obvious, things were really bad.
Yeah.
And we were on a ferry from Sendai to go to Hokkaido. Like they didn't have, that's how little money they had in their budget. Like we couldn't even fly there. We had to take the slow boat.
Wow.
To Sapporo, like through a typhoon, like oh man, it was just crazy. And so they wouldn't pay for beds for us. So everyone had to sleep on the floor. Like Elio De Santo, Dos Car, like legends sleeping on the floor, and
like in the arena or
no, on the boat.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
On the boat. And so I was there when they all had this powwow, this big meeting, and made the plans to start their own company.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And the Michinoku was the one that started it, and then Dragon started the Dragon Gate originally as actually as Tori Uman, and here we are now. I mean, and do you keep up with Sasuke at all?
So
over the years,
it's been a long time, but I did this thing where I was 1, 2, 3 kid for Chikara.
Yeah,
and so there was a 6-man, and I was in it with like Eric Cannon and Darren Corp, like a couple of Minnesota guys. And we had a 6-man with Shinzaki Hakushi, Sasuke, and Dick Togo. So it was just like old home week, man. It was great.
Yeah. Because Sasuke, of course, ended up being like a big star. And I'm trying to remember how many years ago this was, but they did a movie on Sasuke, a documentary.
Yeah.
And the documentary opened in San Jose of all places. So I actually saw the open, and Sasuke was there with the woman who did it. And it was fascinating. It was when he was running for political office under his mask, right. going from like person to person, in his home district where, a lot of the people knew him, but it wasn't like he was like walking around like he was Hulk Hogan either. Right. It's like people knew him, but it wasn't like, you've been around giant celebrities for, from between wrestling celebrities and non-wrestling celebrities. Sure. And he wasn't that, but it wasn't like he was unknown either. And he's asking for votes. And I think he actually lost that election, and they kind of showed, and it was kind of a deal. Cause I think when the movie was being filmed, he was probably in his, I'm going to say mid 40s, cause he's probably early 50s now. And he was broken down, because you know how he wrestled.
Yeah.
And he was hurting. I mean, he was still doing it, and he was hurting, but it was really interesting how he had to take a back seat on his own shows because the young guys could do a lot more, and he was basically just in there on his name. And because the kids kind of knew, it's great Sasuke, he'd go to like the elementary schools, and he'd get the biggest reaction, but he would be in 6-man tags, and he could do very little because his body was hurting so bad.
Yeah.
But it was interesting.
Hey, Dave, I was mentioning this earlier when I knew you were going to be on with me and talking about this. So I was in Japan with you, like that. What you were asking me if it was my first, my first tour. It was like several in because Jerry Lynn and I were having matches with Gato and Pat Tanaka. They were doing this like New Orient Express thing or something. Mm-hmm. And so we were having really good matches with them, but you and I hung out. Who was it? Who was with you?
It might have been John Muse.
Maybe. Yeah. John Muse, the blonde hair guy.
Yeah, definitely John Muse. Yeah.
And so like, I tell people this a lot. We went to like JWP TV taping at some
at 1:30 a.m.
JCTV. Remember the Japan cable television studio?
Right.
Did they lock us in the building?
Well, pretty much because it was like from 1:30 to like 5:30 a.m. and like we were just getting tired and wanted to leave, and it was like some rule that like if you showed up because it was in the middle of the night, nobody was allowed to leave. Yeah. So it was like like we were hostage all night long. I was like half asleep by 3 a.m. Plus, it's our own jet lag because I think it was only a couple days in. And I just remember I'd doze off, and then I'd be watching this battle royal with Devil Masami, who, of course, you remember, the legend.
Yeah.
And they were doing all this great stuff. And I was like, I think this is like it was like way better than like an American or most Japanese battle royals aren't that good in American battle royals range, but it was like this battle royal's like so good, but I'm like half asleep at the same time. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, like American battle royals that just everyone goes in there and just walking and talking and not really any structure. Like that was a well thought out battle royal.
Yeah,
like Dynamite Kansai. I remember Cutie Suzuki. I think Cutie Suzuki was there.
Yes, I think she was. I'm sure she was.
Yeah. But anyways, I just had a great time, man. And then we went to Tokyo Disney World.
Right. Where Jerry Lynn goes, this is the first time in my life I've ever felt tall. Because so many people were so short there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, hey, Dave, I loved working for that company. It was tough. I was getting $1,000 a week, and which was a lot more back then than it is now, but still that was nothing back then. Yeah. And, they would give us $100 draw that we would have to try to make last for the week, for food and whatnot. And it was just next to impossible. And I was talking about how, we would drive from Tokyo. Most people would take the bullet train or fly down to Hakata, down south. We'd drive the whole thing, 12 hours, no hotel, Dave, no hotel. We would pull into this thing called a Kenko Land, which was like a big, with the bathhouse and everything. And everyone slept on the floor in a big room. And like everyone was snoring. We called it the snoring chamber, but it was just, we were so happy to, after 12 hours on that bus with the seats not reclining, we were just happy to get somewhere and lay down flat, man.
Yeah. I think people don't realize how hard wrestling, and really it always was, as far as when you're not in like, say, WWE or AEW or WCW, when you're in the glamour promotions. Yeah. It's, or even in Japan, like New Japan, All Japan, right? Like, but and you've been, let's face it, you've been the gamut from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. You know what I mean? You've been like, because a lot of the guys, sometimes guys are lucky and they can get to the big leagues based on size right away. You had all those years of having to make your name. And then, you had that run where you were really on top with the top guys in the biggest boom period, probably of our lifetime. And then, and it's funny because then, Mexico and that, you went everywhere. It's like you probably have more unique experiences in that realm than almost anyone.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, since you're talking about Mexico and it kind of plays into, the Japan stuff we were talking about, that was so crazy. Because it was a lot of the same type of traveling down in Mexico, a lot of long bus drives and, it was tough. The conditions are tough there, man. And I got to experience that on the, I had already been up to the, to the top of the mountain.
Right.
When you haven't been there yet, it's easier to deal with all that shit. But on the way back down, oh, that's a motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
Holy.
I know. Because I can't think of hardly anyone who was in that boom period of WWF and WCW in like that, whatever, late 90s period that ended up like in AAA, like right. Really AAA, like not like, okay, you come in for like Ray DeReyes or Triple Mania. You were living there doing the whole deal for a long time.
Yeah. I never worked Mexico. Like I had, in Japan, I'd worked with all the greats, like that we just talked about, and but I never actually worked in Mexico. Yeah, and I really loved it there, Dave. I really loved it, man. That was that's for a different conversation, but man, I loved the camaraderie. Like just a magical place, man, down there. But
yeah, the audiences. I always love going to the Mexican audiences because they're. I don't want to say like they're more pure. Is that a good way to say it?
We used to call them like almost like virgin audience. Like they weren't spoiled yet. Like everything you did, you could grab a headlock and it worked. Like there was no, like they weren't tough crowds at all. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, especially the kids.
Yeah, exactly. So, dude,
Yeah.
Hey, Dave. Hey, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh yeah, anytime. I love catching up with you. It was yeah, and you. I mean, are you? I don't know if you like. Look, if you ever come in Northern California, just let me know. Let's get together.
Yeah. I think last time I seen you was that big
Palace.
show at the Cow Palace. Yeah.
Right. That was something too. Going back to because I hadn't been to I'd been to the Cow Palace probably 10, 12 years ago with WWF.
Yeah.
But like that felt like it was more of a throwback to the old Cow Palace because they were kind of trying, like, brought Pat Patterson back and tried to do the Battle Royal and all that type of stuff. So it was a real, it was like one of the bigger indie shows at that period of time. Think about it. An indie company trying to book the Cow Palace is pretty gutsy.
And they had like 3,000 people or something. I mean, it was
it was good.
Crowd.
It was good. It was acceptable. I mean, and high ticket prices. I mean, the first one I heard did well. Then they came back with the second one that, I know didn't do as well, which, is kind of like what you would expect in a lot of ways.
Sure. And I remember that was where I met Luke Perry. And I think you might have been the first
I met him for a second there too. Yeah. And his son was there and everything. And his son's doing fantastic too.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. Hey, Dave, like, we were supposed to be talking about my first time to Japan, but like, I don't talk to you very often, man. Like, and it's great having you on. So I kind of, I talked about some other shit too. So.
All right.
Hey, Nick, is there anything you want to add?
No, I really just enjoyed this. I was listening to Sean talk about his times in Japan with you before you connected, Dave, and I was just excited to see you guys get together. I didn't know you guys, had hung out and done friendly things, I guess. I should have.
Yeah, we did. And I have like one story that I remember that so there was a All Japan Women's show on this tour with Manami Toyota and Toshio Yamada.
She had the haircut, right?
In the hair match where she got her head shaved, right? And you were like going back and forth whether you would come. I don't know if you had like something to do with some of the other guys or whatever, but you didn't come. And then I remember seeing you like after, and you go like, so how was it? And I go, I think it was the best match I'd ever seen live in my life.
Yeah,
and it really was. I mean, it really was. It was an absolutely phenomenal match.
Yeah. Wow.
What do you think is Sean's best match, Dave?
I haven't even thought about that one, but God, like Bret Hart match, I just remember pops into my head, and then like a lot of tag matches and stuff. But for some reason, like there probably are better ones, but I just think of this Bret Hart singles match just because I'm a big Bret Hart fan, and because it was a high profile match. I don't know what's like are your favorite matches? I mean, Jerry Lynn matches, of course.
Yeah.
I remember in Global, Jerry Lynn matches, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I talk about that, like the matches with Jerry, I look at them separately because we were trying to figure things out, Dave. We hadn't really been like, like we go out there and wrestle each other and like trying to different things, but never really like having like those veterans and those great like minds, to tell us what we should be doing or like giving us advice. So we were figuring all that shit out as we went, I think, for the most part, right? And when I look back at it, like some of the matches, I can see the mistakes we made, like psychology wise and everything. But I still look back on them fondly, man, because I'm just really proud of that stuff. But the match with Bret, by that time I had been, working with some really experienced guys, some veterans that really knew what the hell they were doing. And I learned a lot, man. And by the time I had that match with Bret, and I just listened to Bret. He let me call all my stuff, and he said I could do whatever I wanted. But like he laid it out and called it in there, and it's the best match. That's my best match I've ever had.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, so one more thing before I go. One of the things that you've said, I mean, it was funny, and I don't think you even said it to me. I may have been like in an interview somewhere. No, I think you may have even said it to me too. But it was, and it always resonates with me because you, through your career, I mean, like you've been like in like all of the young guys now, you were at that stage. Every one of those guys is in, where you just want to do everything in the world, right? All the crazy stuff, anything you can think of, you want to do in the ring. And then you went to this point where, you got hurt doing it. And then you got to the point where you kind of figured it out on when to do it, when not to do it and everything. And I think that you said that like, when you were young, the veterans would tell you, you shouldn't be doing this. But of course, being young and just wanting to get over you just wanted to do it your way and didn't listen.
Yeah.
And then you said and then all of a sudden you're like the veteran telling these young guys who are trying to do everything they can come up with, tone down, do it, do it in a more timely fashion, whatever. And you said I know they're not going to listen because I didn't, but I feel it's like my obligation to tell them anyway, which I just thought was really perceptive, because so many of the older guys will look down on it, forgetting where they actually were because everyone started that way.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's
I don't think I'm Terry Funk by any means, but I always looked at how he was with the younger talent and the newer generation and how supportive he was of it without oh, you guys are, he might have had some criticisms, but
he probably did it in a nice way.
Really nice, man. And so I like to think of myself I want to be like Terry Funk when it comes to how I look at the newer generation, and also Dave, some of the things that you're talking about, I knew I had to tell them. I knew they wouldn't get it right now, but they would get it,
That's a good point.
Later on down the road. Just like
You're right, because I remember when I was younger, Terry Funk would tell me stuff that I didn't get, and 5-7 years later, I would remember it, and it's now I understand why he was, he would, just say you don't really understand this.
Yeah.
And then he goes, but someday you will. And then someday it's I think I do, but I think that there's just, you see it enough and you just kind of I don't know if it's react to the crowd or whatever, but you just kind of, it's such a unique business because it's hard and you learn from your injuries, I think, a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Thanks.
Thanks.
Man.
Anytime.
You want to get back?
I was just going to wrap it up by saying, is there anything you want to plug or promote before we wrap it up here, Dave?
Just the website, WrestlingObserver.com. I do audio shows with Garrett Gonzalez and Brian Alvarez every week and do the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which covers every single thing in pro wrestling and MMA every week. It's extensive. You want to learn business, the business end of it. It's a lot of business stuff and the angles and where things are going and where they're not. And, it's just, who's coming up, all that type of stuff. Yeah.
And hey, I think it's really cool that you have Denise as part of the crew now, man.
She's doing really well. Yeah. Good personality. Yeah.
Welcome to the game show portion of Pro Wrestling for Life. It is me, Nick Hausman. This week I'll be serving as the host of the game show, and I have got a real humdinger planned, something I am very excited about to bring to you all today. And returning as one of the contestants for the show this week, he did not come up victorious last week in the game show portion of the show. He's going to get another shot here to best one of his fans. It is our good friend, Sean X-Pac Waltman. Sean, welcome to the game show.
Thanks for having me, Nick. It's really good to be here. Who do I have in store for me this week to play in this week's game?
Oh, that's a great question, Sean. You sound so excited. Certainly not robotic, that's for sure. We have a great contestant here joining us all the way from WrestleZone. He does a bunch of great podcasts with his brother. He's also a fellow grocery man like myself. He can stack a mean stack of peppers. It's our good friend Dominic D'Angelo. Dom, thank you for coming by and playing our game here today.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Sean, it's good to see you again. Nick, it's always a pleasure, man. You brought me into this business. Let's kick me out right now.
All right, Dom. I'm about ready to destroy you.
Don't sing it, bring it.
Oh, man.
Wow.
This is going to be a massacre.
Dude, you don't want to talk that way to Sean. He knows how to spinning heel kick, and he will take your head off. So, all right. Well, this week's game, is a game I came up with called Did That Really Happen? So what I'm going to do in this game is I'm going to read you both either something that happened or didn't happen this past week in professional wrestling. And then you have to tell me that happened or that didn't happen. It's very simple to decide who's going to go first here today. I'm going to give you both a chance to guess what is Vince McMahon's birthday. The person closest to it, month, date, year, will go first. I'll start with you, Dominic. What do you think is Vince McMahon's birthday?
I'm going to roll with, I think, February 1st, 1945.
Okay, Sean, do you want to take a guess?
I do not. You can go first, Tom.
Oh,
I have
whoa.
no clue, man. I couldn't even begin to guess.
Well, here's the thing: is Dom was actually really close. Vince's birthday is August 24th, 1945. So you were only off by like a couple months. So
Dang.
there you go. Congratulations, Dom. All right,
Hey.
so Dom, did it happen? Did that really happen? Rey and Dominic Mysterio became the first father-son team to ever win WWE Tag Team Gold.
That really happened.
That did happen. Point for Dom. Sean, back to you. The Miz and Morrison were attacked by zombies.
It happened.
That did unfortunately happen. Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. All right, back to Dom here. Alexa,
1-1, folks. We're 1-1, neck and neck so far.
over to you, Dom. Alexa Bliss debuted her new burn book featuring photos of a charred and burned The Fiend Bray Wyatt.
That didn't happen.
That did not happen, but that is a damn good idea, and I wanted to put that out into the world. All right, Sean. Would you have said that happened? Would you have thought that happened?
It's one of those, Nick, that it could have been, either. I don't know.
That was deceptive. It was very good, Nick.
It's hard. I'm trying to.
It seemed plausible that it may have happened.
Sean. MVP revealed that Braun Strowman suffered an ankle injury at WWE WrestleMania Backlash.
That happened.
That did not happen. He revealed that Braun had a rib injury. It was not a knee injury.
Did I say that happened? What I meant to say is that did not happen.
No. It is 2-1 in favor of Dom now. All right, back to Dom. Keith Lee teased fans with a photo of himself in front of the WWE NXT War Games cage.
That did not happen.
That did happen. Whoa, guys. You're in the news game like me, Dom. I thought this would be a ringer for you.
I mean, how stupid can you get?
Dude, that was bad. John's going to do that Bronco Buster. He's going to rub balls first right into your eyeballs. Really hard. Really hard. All right.
I'm going to blame the algorithm of Twitter for that one.
Yeah, no, that happened. Well, you both have got one wrong now. All right, back to you, Sean. Dexter Lumis proposed to indie wrestling Hartwell while Johnny Gargano fumed.
Is that her real, like, is it indie wrestling Hartwell or just indie Hartwell?
Well, Johnny Gargano gave her the wrestling name. He's Johnny Wrestling.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Since it sounds like it probably happened then.
Well, I'm sorry to say that did not happen. Dexter Lumis has not popped the question to Indy Hartwell yet. That's 2 wrong now that you've gotten, Sean. Sorry about that. All right, Dom, you're still up here 2-1. Rhea Ripley pinned Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania Backlash to retain her Raw Women's Championship in a triple threat.
That did not happen.
That did not happen. She pinned Asuka to retain her title. So 3-1 here for Dom. Hey, Sean, Mason T-Bar appeared on Raw.
Hey, man, is there somewhere you got to be? There's something there. Like, I mean,
well, this is the game. I'm trying to put the pressure on here, Sean.
Yeah. Oh, is that the okay?
It's part of. I shoot you off the road.
Okay, all right. I misinterpreted like why it seemed like you were in such a hurry right now.
No, I'm just trying to keep the pressure on here, Sean. It's called pay. It's quick pace here at the game.
So now that I've done a good job of breaking up your pace, could you ask me that again?
Did it really happen? Mason T-Bar appeared on Raw.
No, it didn't.
It did. They cut a promo and then they appeared ringside for the Lumberjack match. So they did. T-Bar and Maze, they got a little FaceTime this week. Hey, Dom, Charles Wright, the Godfather, turned 60 this week. Is that true? Did that happen?
I know he's going to be on Stone Cold's podcast. That happened.
That did happen. It was his birthday this past week. All right. And you know what? It's like 4-1. I only have 2 questions left here. So I'm just going to call it here. Like, Dom beat you, Sean. He beat you like a drum, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, Dom, you're great. Thanks for coming on the show.
That's the game here. You know, they say never meet your idols, but Dom did, and then he beat him. So,
oh my gosh,
you know, that's a lot. I mean,
I put him over. I don't want to be.
Did.
I just didn't want to be so hard on him. Like I appreciate
I'm a hot
everything-
act. He wanted to get me over quick.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say right now, but I'm trying. Like, I did not lose on my own accord.
There was maybe a brief.
I am not a sore loser.
No.
Dude, you let me
At
have
all.
the first go too. It was
No,
very honorable.
I don't know. I don't know what happened, you guys. Like, it's just Nick with these trick questions, and I'm sorry I disappointed everyone.
Yeah.
You
sorry.
know, that's 2 times in a row I have lost on my own show. So,
Yeah. Wow.
what am I going to do with myself?
Well, we'll see if maybe next week you can finally put a win in there. I'll try to
Yeah.
I'll dive into the vault. I'll ask more stuff from like 94. Real specific.
Ooh, see, there you go.
That
That
from
would have caught me off
Yeah,
guard.
yeah.
we'll go back in time a little bit. All right. Well, hey Dom, I want to thank you for being the latest contestant here on the show. Let the people out there know where can they find you, follow you, support you, all those wonderful things, Dom.
Yeah, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. You can follow. I do this podcast with my brother Marcus. We talk AEW Dynamite, 2 Dynamite dudes with attitude, and then we also do a WCW rewritten where we rewrite WCW. Well, my brother does. And Sean, you are kind of in a feud now with Dusty Rhodes in this reimagined universe of WCW
Oh, yeah?
Nitro. Yeah, so
Huh.
it's been pretty cool. And you're back in the Wolfpack, and it's past Super Bowl in 1998. So we're right in the thick of it.
Oh,
and,
so I haven't. So I ended up not leaving.
you ended up not leaving. You're still in WCW
okay.
in this one. So my brother Marcus books it all, and then he writes it all out, and then executes it. So pretty cool so far. It's been pretty neat.
Right on. Cool,
So,
man.
yeah.
Thank you, Dom. I appreciate you
thank
coming
you,
on,
guys.
man.
Dude, it's good to see both you guys again. Nick, you're going to be in Jacksonville, right?
I will. So we'll see each other in person.
We'll see each other in person then. Rock and roll, man.
That's it for this edition of Pro Wrestling for Life, everyone. I want to thank Double J, Jeff Jarrett. That's J-E, double F, J-double-R-E-double-T. So just want to thank Jeff, and I want to thank Dave Meltzer for taking the time to come on today. And also, Nick, got anybody you want to thank before we go?
No, just thank you, man. Thank everybody out there for supporting at Pro Rest for Life over on Twitter. I'm Nick_Hausman over on Twitter, and that's it, man. This is a home run of a show. I'm so proud of what we're doing here, and I just want to thank everybody who tunes in every week.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, exactly what Nick just said.
Yeah.
See y'all right here next week. Pro Wrestling for Life.